Welcome back to the AnzenGuard podcast, everybody. I'm Michael Reynolds, and I'm really excited about today's topic.
And I'm Laura Wilson, ready to jump into the world of cybersecurity.
Today we're talking about antivirus software.
Ooh, yeah.
Does it actually protect you from hackers?
Right.
And especially these days, we live so much of our lives online. It's a question a lot of people are thinking about.
Absolutely. It's not a simple yes or no answer.
Right.
It's like, remember when I actually got hit by a virus?
Wait, really?
Even though I work in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty humbling experience.
Wow.
Definitely a reminder that anybody can be vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really proves the point that antivirus is that vital first line of defense.
That safety net.
Yeah. But it's not a magical force field.
Right. It's not foolproof.
Right.
And I think that's a great point that kind of leads into how antivirus actually works.
Exactly.
And where its limits are.
Exactly. Think of antivirus like a digital bodyguard, constantly scanning your device, checking files against this massive database.
Like known malware, right?
Yes, those bad guys that we've already identified.
So it's almost like comparing a mugshot to a suspect.
Exactly. But it also uses something called heuristic analysis.
Okay.
Which is basically looking for suspicious patterns in code.
Uh-huh.
Think of it as like red flags
Okay.
that might indicate malicious intent.
I gotcha.
And then there's behavior-based detection.
Okay.
Which is where we start to catch programs that are acting like malware, even if they're not yet in the database.
So like we're catching the thief based on their behavior, even if we haven't seen their face before.
Precisely. But here's the catch.
Okay.
Over 350,000 new malware programs are created every single day.
Whoa, that's a crazy number.
Mind-blowing number.
That's a lot.
It is.
So even the best antivirus software, it's in a constant race to keep up.
It's a digital arms race.
Yeah.
And you have the hackers on the other side of that race.
Right.
And it's important to understand that hackers are not a monolithic group.
Right. There are different types of hackers out there with different motives.
You got the good guys.
Yes.
The white hat hackers.
Yes.
Who are actually trying to help companies find vulnerabilities.
Exactly. They're like ethical hackers.
Right.
Then you have the black hat hacker.
The ones we think of.
Yes.
Criminals trying to steal our data.
Yeah, cause disruption.
Yeah.
And then you have the gray hats.
They're somewhere in between.
Yes, they fall somewhere in between.
Maybe hacking for the challenge or to expose weaknesses.
Right. But not necessarily with malicious intent.
Yeah, that's
It's a complex landscape.
Yeah.
And to really understand how to protect ourselves, we have to look at all the different tools hackers have at their disposal.
The variety.
Yeah, we've all heard of viruses.
Right.
But there's a whole world beyond that.
Okay, so let's unpack that.
Okay.
What are some of the other tactics hackers use?
Well, malware itself is a broad term.
It includes different types like viruses, worms, trojans, and the one that's been making headlines, ransomware.
Yeah.
Each one has its own way of wreaking havoc.
Yeah, and then there's phishing.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is a major threat.
Phishing is all about deception.
Okay.
Tricking people into giving up sensitive information.
It's really amazing how convincing
Right.
those phishing emails can be.
Right. It's scary how easily people can fall victim to them.
Yeah.
Then you have things like zero-day exploits.
Okay.
These are attacks that target vulnerabilities that haven't even been patched yet.
Oh, wow. So it's like we're trying to defend against an invisible enemy.
Yes. And then there's code injections,
Okay.
brute forcing passwords,
Uh-huh.
man-in-the-middle attacks on unsecured Wi-Fi networks.
Right.
You have those evil twin Wi-Fi setups
Oh, yeah.
mimicking legitimate hotspots.
Wow.
And that's not even mentioning the growing threat of IoT hacking,
Yeah, where all our devices are connected now.
where your smart home devices could be vulnerable.
Right. So no device is truly immune.
Exactly. And that's why it's critical to move beyond just relying on antivirus.
Right.
And think about building a multi-layered defense.
So what are some of those extra layers of protection?
Strong and unique passwords for every account.
Okay.
Non-negotiable.
It sounds basic, but it's so important.
You wouldn't believe how many people still use weak or easily guessable passwords.
That's true. And I remember reading about a major data breach where millions of passwords were compromised through brute forcing.
Exactly.
Just trying different combinations.
Until they crack the code.
It's crazy.
That's why password managers are such a game changer.
Okay.
They generate and store super complex passwords so you don't have to remember them all.
That makes a lot of sense.
And two-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security, requiring you to confirm your login from another device like your phone.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Two-factor authentication can make a huge difference.
Right.
Even the best passwords can be stolen. And VPNs are becoming increasingly important.
Yeah.
Especially with so many people working remotely.
And on public Wi-Fi.
Yes, VPNs encrypt your internet traffic.
It's like creating a secure tunnel.
Yes, so your data is protected.
Especially on those unsecured public networks.
Exactly, and let's not forget about keeping your software updated.
Updates.
I know they can be annoying, but they often include those security patches that fix vulnerabilities.
So those update reminders are actually doing us a favor.
They really are. And finally, let's not underestimate the power of simply being cautious online.
Right.
Don't click on suspicious links.
Yeah.
Be careful what you share on social media and double-check before downloading anything.
It's all about being aware and proactive.
It is.
So we've talked about the threats, the different types of hackers, the importance of a multi-layered defense.
Yes.
But what about the cost of antivirus? Is free antivirus good enough, or is it worth investing in a paid version?
That is a great question, and it's one we will be diving into further when we return.
Stay tuned.
After the break. Welcome back to the AnzenGuard podcast.
We're continuing our deep dive into antivirus software.
Yeah, and all those sneaky hackers out there.
Right before the break, we were talking about this idea of building a multi-layered security approach.
Yes, going beyond just the basics of antivirus.
It really is kind of like building a fortress around your digital life.
Exactly.
You need multiple layers of protection to keep those invaders out.
You do, but, even with the strongest defenses, there are these sneaky little tactics that can slip through the cracks.
Right.
And one that's particularly concerning is code injection.
Code injections? That sounds kind of scary.
It can be.
What are we talking about here?
So imagine you download a seemingly harmless app or a program. I think it's completely safe.
Like a system cleanup tool.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Right, but lurking within that code could be a hidden surprise. Malicious code that a hacker has secretly inserted.
So it's like a Trojan horse already.
That's a great analogy.
It looks innocent, but it's actually dangerous.
And you might not even realize anything's wrong until it's too late.
That reminds me of that CCleaner incident a few years back.
Yes.
Was that a code injection?
It was CCleaner, a really popular system optimization tool.
Yeah, a lot of people use that.
Millions of people were using it, and it was compromised.
Wow.
Hackers managed to inject malicious code into the software.
So even software we think is trustworthy can be vulnerable.
Absolutely. And the consequences can be pretty serious.
Yeah.
In that case, the injected code actually ended up installing spyware on over 2 million devices.
That's terrifying. So how do these code injections actually work?
Well, they exploit vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Or backdoors in the software's code.
So they're finding weaknesses and slipping through.
Exactly like finding a hidden crack in a wall.
Okay.
And using it to get inside.
I see.
Once that malicious code is injected, it can really wreak havoc. It could force your device to download additional malware like ransomware.
Or steal our information?
Exactly. Or even give the hacker complete control over your device.
Oh, wow. So it becomes like a zombie botnet.
Exactly. It's a chilling thought.
So is there anything we can do to protect ourselves?
Well, there's no foolproof way to prevent them entirely.
Okay.
But there are steps you can take to minimize your risk.
Okay. Give us the rundown.
First and foremost, a robust antivirus program is crucial.
Okay.
Make sure it has strong behavior-based detection capabilities.
So it can catch things acting suspiciously even if they're not on a list yet.
Exactly. And your firewall, your digital gatekeeper.
Yes.
Keep it turned on at all times.
Got a firewall up and running.
Keeping your software updated is absolutely essential.
Right.
Developers are constantly releasing patches that fix those vulnerabilities that hackers can exploit.
Those software update reminders, they're important.
More than you might think.
Okay.
Be cautious about what you download.
Okay.
Stick to reputable sources.
Don't download random free apps from shady websites.
Probably a good idea.
Okay.
Stick to official app stores or developer websites.
Great advice.
While we're on the topic of code, one of the things we came across was cross-site scripting.
Cross-site scripting.
Or XSS.
Okay.
It's kind of similar to code injection, but instead of targeting software, it targets websites.
So they inject it into the website's code.
Exactly. And it can have similar devastating effects.
Oh, wow.
Stealing your information, redirecting you to malicious sites.
It's amazing how creative hackers are.
It is. It's a constant cat and mouse game.
Right.
But the good news is awareness and vigilance are our best weapons.
Knowledge is power, right?
Exactly. The more we understand these threats,
Yeah.
the better equipped we are to defend ourselves.
So let's recap. Code injections are sneaky and dangerous.
They are.
But by taking precautions like using strong antivirus, keeping software updated, and being cautious about downloads,
Yes, being aware of what you're clicking on.
we can reduce our risk. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the basics of antivirus to these complex code injections.
Right. But one question that's often on people's minds is free versus paid antivirus.
That's a great question.
Which one really offers the best protection?
Yeah. Is it worth it to pay for that extra layer of security?
And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about right after this quick break.
Welcome back to the AnzenGuard podcast. We're deep diving into the world of antivirus and those sneaky hackers.
And before the break, we left you with that big question.
The big question.
Is free antivirus good enough?
Right.
Or should you pay for it?
Yeah, is it worth the money to shell out for the paid version?
It's a debate that goes on and on.
It really is. You know, it's kind of like if you're thinking about protecting your home.
Okay.
Are you going to use the basic bicycle lock, or are you going to get that high-tech security system?
Right. Both offer some level of protection. But
Yeah, but how much risk are you willing to take?
exactly. And the reality is free antivirus will give you that baseline protection.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
It's like that basic lock on the door.
Exactly.
It might deter the casual thief, but someone really determined is going to get in.
They'll find a way.
So it might not be enough in today's world.
Right. Paid antivirus is more like that comprehensive security system.
Okay.
It's multi-layered, it's constantly adapting, and it often has a team of experts.
Working behind the scenes.
Right, dedicated to staying ahead of those threats.
So it's like having a 24/7 security guard patrolling your digital fortress.
Exactly. So think of it this way. Free antivirus usually focuses on the basics.
Okay.
Like scanning for known malware. It's like checking faces at the door
Right.
against a list of known criminals.
Right.
But what about those new threats?
The ones we haven't even identified yet.
Exactly. That's where paid antivirus really shines.
Okay.
It often includes things like real-time protection,
Okay.
which constantly scans for suspicious activity,
Gotcha.
and a firewall, which is that barrier between your device and the outside world.
And a lot of them offer like web protection as well.
Yes.
That can help block malicious websites and phishing attempts.
Right, and some of them will even include data breach monitoring.
Okay.
So they'll alert you if your information has been compromised.
So it's really trying to stay ahead of the game.
It is.
And what about VPNs?
Yes. Some paid antivirus suites now include VPN services.
Okay.
And that encrypts your internet traffic and protects your privacy when you're on public Wi-Fi.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so it really is a more comprehensive and proactive approach.
Right. They're really trying to think ahead.
They are. It's more likely to keep up with those evolving threats.
So you almost have like a team of researchers
Yes.
constantly looking at the new malware and techniques.
Exactly, updating the databases and algorithms.
Wow.
So it's really working hard to keep you protected.
So if you're serious about your security online, paying for antivirus is probably a good idea.
I would say so, especially if you're handling sensitive information or you spend a lot of time online.
Yeah, you're putting yourself at risk.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into antivirus and hackers.
We have.
What are some of the key takeaways you want listeners to remember?
First and foremost, antivirus is an essential part of your security strategy, but it's not a magic bullet.
Right, it's just one layer.
Exactly. You need to adopt that multi-layered approach.
Right, those strong passwords, two-factor authentication,
Keeping your software up to date?
and being careful what you click on
Yes.
and download.
Absolutely.
Don't forget those extra precautions, like using a VPN.
Especially on public Wi-Fi.
And watch out for those phishing attempts.
You're getting more and more sophisticated.
So be aware and stay informed.
Knowledge is power.
Well, everyone, we hope this deep dive was helpful and informative.
We did too.
Cybersecurity is a journey, not a destination.
That's right, an ongoing journey.
And we're here to help you navigate that journey safely.
We are. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the AnzenGuard podcast, leave a comment, and share it with your friends.
That's right. I'm Michael Reynolds.
And I'm Laura Wilson.
And we'll catch you in the next episode of the AnzenGuard podcast. Stay safe out there, everyone.